Dating nowadays sucks, and it's no surprise for any of you to hear that, because in a way, we already all know it instinctively. But what you might not know is that among the younger generations, and for young men in particular, rates of relationships are actually statistically trending down. Loneliness and isolation are on the rise, and people on average even have less friends than previous generations did. The world in general is becoming more closed off and isolated and difficult for socialization of any kind. And so I think the fact that dating has become harder too isn't that big of a surprise. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm aware that within this niche on YouTube, more videos have been made on this subject than practically any other. But regardless, I felt the need to make this because I think that although a lot of people have already covered the topic, it genuinely is a serious issue and one somewhat neglected by our society at large. And so I think it's worth discussing and getting to the bottom of. Why does dating suck nowadays? What's causing it? And what can we actually do about it? These questions feel obvious, feel like something with an easy, straightforward answer. But honestly, I think a lot more goes into it than even young people it's affecting today realize. To start, think for a second about dating apps. A lot of people I know recognize how dating apps are contributing to this epidemic of loneliness. But on the flip side, I also think that the emergence of dating apps is an effect of something else, which is a lot deeper. Yes, dating apps do seem to favor women. Dating apps do seem to favor physical attractiveness on both sides. Yes, dating apps have been compared to a form of gambling, where people get lost in the game of matches and swipes and stop looking for an actual human connection. Dating apps don't help the problem. In a way, they've exacerbated the previously existing underlying contributors of the problems within the dating market at large. But bigger than dating apps is the collective consciousness and perspective towards dating and relationships nowadays. As I said, I think dating apps are part symptom, part cause. The biggest issue with modern dating, I believe, is superficiality and diminishing personal connection or individual value. What I mean is, I think just like dating apps, our society at large has become more superficial and competitive than ever. Nowadays, it isn't always about who you are as a person, what hobbies or interests you have, how two people can enjoy their time together. It's all become a big game of appearance and status, how someone looks, how much money they make, how many followers they have on Instagram. That's what people begin to value, and how they begin to measure each other in a romantic way. Our society, too, has also become oversexualized, with porn on the rise, graphic descriptions and exposure in songs, and a social system that seems to put down or discourage those who aren't having sex while they're young. You see, at one point, sex, in a way, was seen as the act of reproduction, something you do with someone you love, which carries the possibility of creating children. Nowadays, situationships and one-night stands are on the rise, while marriages and committed relationships are declining. When you feel like nobody is looking for anything serious, but you don't want to be entirely alone either, you naturally end up following the trend and treating sex and relationships as transactional. You feed into that same epidemic of uncommitted heartbreakers because it's what feels necessary to get some glimpse of what you're really looking for. Young people in general have higher body counts than ever before, although they're statistically less likely to be in anything committed or serious. Because of social media, it's as if the quantity of potential romantic partners we have access to is larger than ever. The dating market becomes more competitive and people become less likely to settle down because they feel like there are plenty of options, or they don't feel the necessity to be exclusive. And even for the people who don't see it this way and don't feed into this social hive mind, the more this problem spreads, the less it feels like there's anything they can do about it. Oftentimes, people who don't want to make the choice between something fake and something transactional choose instead to just stay alone, stay single, and let some part of themselves believe they'll stay that way forever, because in a way they believe their whole generation is ruined. All of the women or all the men their age, the entire dating market, ruined. Due to this massive narrative of subconscious programming from our society, within our influencers and movies and social media, we begin to treat dating like some means to an end, like some part of your status, something fun, something transactional. It becomes about balancing what either one of you is bringing to the table and being flexible enough to leave a partner when a better opportunity presents itself, or you begin to feel like you could do better in some way. In general, people nowadays seem to have a harder time connecting and forming genuine friendships, relationships, and marriages. Things stay more surface level as people don't take the time to understand themselves or even care to understand others. Oftentimes, people are dating not because they love one another for who they are or what's in their heart, but because it's a workable arrangement where both partners benefit in some way. Obviously, I'm a guy, so I can't speak to the female perspective very well, But I also believe that the competitiveness of the dating market has given certain people a big head. A lot of women my age I know are full of themselves or arrogant, or are drunk on some attention they get from random men and they never settle into real relationships, just kind of stringing guys along for the fun of it. These are extreme examples, and I'm not saying all women are like this. I have friends who are women and aren't this way at all. And I know that there are also guys who are fuckboys and manipulative and uncaring. I've met a lot of men my age who only care about sex and stop seeing women as people. I point out the extreme examples just so you guys can see into the mind of someone growing up in society today. As a guy with friends my own age who are also guys, I found that we all agree some women nowadays seem unapproachable. Like they get so much attention they're annoyed by it, or the toxicity of social media has made them ruder, less humble, and less compassionate than normal. Obviously, this problem doesn't extend to everyone. Not everyone has let the psychological warfare of online dating and oversexualization get to them. There are still committed relationships, beautiful marriages, and well-rounded people out there. There are still plenty of opportunities to meet genuine people and get to know others for who they really are. But I do think it's worth taking a look at these younger generations and seeing how they're being affected by all of this. If even 30% of a generation has been consumed by degeneracy and bad moral character when it comes to dating, that can create a ripple effect which is incredibly dangerous. Hurt people, as has been said many times online. So as people get their hearts broken and sometimes become more heartless themselves, they continue to participate in the dating market and make things worse for everyone else. This can become a negative spiral that creates an entire population of people too afraid of commitment to give it a chance again. There are many differences between the way we grew up nowadays with the internet and the way things were before with past generations, and it's hard to know how all of this will develop and blow over into the future. I don't believe we're too far gone. I don't believe it's as bad as some people think, and I genuinely believe far more people, men and women, agree with this sentiment than you might realize, but I do think it's bad. I think it's worse than some people realize, and I think it isn't talked about enough. However our societal values have degraded, I think everyone knows deep down that monogamy and family is important. Having a genuine partner who you can see and understand as a person is important. Maybe it seems like things are only getting worse. Maybe you assume you'll be alone forever. But I want you to know that aside from all of that, within yourself, you can make the choice right now to find peace with the circumstance of the world. Although they aren't great, although we wish things were different, the reality is that the way it is the way it is. All we can do is all we can do. Cultivating a good relationship with yourself, working on yourself and your own demons, and transmuting the negativity you feel towards the world will do wonders for you. If you want to attract the right person into your life, you need to be the right person in your life first. If you can't keep the commitments you made with yourself, or look yourself in the mirror and find respect for who you are and what you're doing, then you can't expect anyone else to respect or love you either. I think it's important to find self-love, to cultivate a good relationship with yourself. A friendship of sorts where you're not going to default to putting yourself down and attacking yourself for every mistake you make. I think far too many people are far too hard on themselves and take the way others treat them far too seriously. So what? There are people on the internet who made fun of you, or that girl you like was rude when she turned you down. That doesn't mean you won't find the right person someday. That doesn't mean you should expect everyone to act that way, and it doesn't mean you should give up hope or give in to that negativity. I know it's hard out there. I know dating sucks nowadays and it's only getting worse, but at least we can do our best, every day, little by little, to be better, kinder, more passionate, compassionate, and understanding, and more suitable for the right partner when the time finally comes. Thanks, guys.